Hey guys, it's Corey again. Today we're going to go over part of a presentation that Eric Vaughan did during Imagine AI 2024. I was there and got to see this presentation. We've gotten the recordings from it, so I'm going through some of these and picking out specific areas and sections that are interesting. I think really drive the urgency of some of these, the concepts of the urgency of implementing AI in your business. This particular one is going over 5 tectonic shifts, as he puts it. And I really agree. There were 5 major adoptions, and I was in the high-tech world for quite a few of these, actually, and implementing those technologies was very, very fast. It seemed fast. This is faster. This AI is much, much faster. So we're leading into some of the concepts here, going through a digital transformation of a business. That's part of my background, is business that really talks. When you think about your business and your ability to compete, AI is going to be a major player in a lot of businesses. Not all of them. It probably won't be. I mean, it'll change all businesses. I'm pretty certain of that. But it'll be a major player. An electrician is probably AI is probably not going to wire your house, but the way that they do it will change, and the way that there will be a lot of things that change even for those types of jobs, or roles. Businesses going forward, though, there are going to be massive changes, and it's going to happen very, very quick, a lot quicker than anything we've seen before. So anyway, let's jump in here and see what Eric has to say about the 5 tectonic shifts.
And I call it the 5 tectonic technology shifts. I love alliteration, so that's why it's tectonic technology, right? There's 5 things that have happened in our entire lives, all of our lives in this room, that have changed the world, everybody, whether tech person or lay person. The first one is the internet, before the web. Okay, the internet, born in the 60s, in the 1960s, was designed to interconnect computers, ostensibly in case of a nuclear war, so we didn't have command and control systems that were separated, because back then we had protocols all over the place. It was hard to connect. So the internet democratized, that's a key word, democratize the ability to connect dissimilar computers.
So back in that time frame, the internet was called DARPANET, and it was actually there were a lot of centralized computers that you could connect into, and then a lot of remote locations as well. I used to do I did my bill pay on that system many years ago. Very few people were on it. This it did come out of the 60s. I really kind of connected into it sometime in the 80s, and it was very it was dial-up, of course. Outside of that, we were putting things on bulletin boards. So a computer would log into a bulletin board. You would log in with your computer and connect up to a bulletin board, leave messages there, drop email, those kinds of things. But those were isolated little modules. So that it took a lot of time, and you'll see here in a little bit, it took a lot of time to really for that to spread and for people to adopt it.
Number 2 is the rise of personal computers. The rise of personal computers made it democratize the ability to do computing in your home, in your office. You didn't have to go to the data center anymore and ask for your report and wait until they got to it when they got back from lunch. Suddenly you could do the work on your desktop, soon in a laptop, on a plane. Very important. Number 3, the web and internet adoption. Now, this is when internet now goes full scale, very consumer-oriented, sounds familiar, similar to the AI story, when Tim Berners-Lee at CERN defined the World Wide Web, and his friend Mark Andreessen, working for the NCSA at the time, invented something called Mosaic, the very first web browser, which provided a user interface for data. It democratized data. Suddenly, everybody can now get to data over a common network.
The other thing that was major that occurred when the internet started like that, when they kind of said, okay, yeah, we've got this thing, the information superhighway. It was in place. It was already in place. Of course, they added a lot more infrastructure and nodes to it, but they changed the acceptable use policy prior to that in 1994, 93, somewhere in there. I don't know, somewhere in that time frame. I remember they started all these internet service providers. The acceptable use policy changed, and you were then able to use it for commercial purposes. When prior to that, it wasn't allowed. I know people were doing things, but it was not widespread and just absolutely crazy like it is now. So that was another huge thing. And then businesses had to go. Businesses had to install computers. In the phase of the computers becoming democratized and home compute capabilities, there was a lot of work there, a lot of adoption that occurred at that time, and then the internet, and they're huge. These are huge shifts, huge changes. So take a look at the next one here.
Number 4 was the iPhone. Now, this was remarkable. I happened to be in San Francisco in 2007 when Steve Jobs was on stage, and he was so excited. He was like a little boy because he knew what he was doing was going to change the world. He really didn't even appreciate, I think, how profoundly, because not only did it put a computer in our pockets, but it democratized apps. It created the ability for people to write software and make money off of it. Suddenly, one-person companies, solopreneurs, the new term that we all love to say these days, were invented really with the app economy. So that's number 4, and that was back in 2007. We're here in 2024.
So when the phone first came out and was able to do all of the things that it could do, and you had a computer in your pocket, it significantly increased the availability of phones to everybody. For one, the cell phone. I think the cell phone is really probably another piece in there, but the phones, and then you're able to send some texts. At first, texts were super expensive. I mean, it was a lot of money just for a couple hundred texts, but now you send texts all over the world, and you can communicate on all kinds of different platforms and apps. It's absolutely amazing. And you'd think that this technology would be, and it was, adopted very quickly because everybody wanted it. But it just gets faster and faster and faster adaptation, I guess. You're going to see on Gen AI exactly how fast it has gotten to. Pretty soon, I don't know what's going to. I mean, something faster than this is going to be incredible. Let's take a look.
17 years later, at number 5, we've democratized AI in 2022. This came out, and it changed absolutely everything because it democratized AI and gave people access to an interface they could understand. I've been fascinated over the last 2 days at how many of us are talking about that aspect of what's changed, interfaces. Because as humans, we just want answers. We just want information, right? We actually don't want to search. Now, we've been conditioned, right? Google search. Well, the guy that's running Perplexity, Aravind Srinivas, talks all the time about, don't you actually just want an answer? Do you really want to search? And I agree. But why was it such a big deal? ChatGPT sprinted to 5 million users in 5 days. You can't even seem to comprehend that kind of adoption. Why? We let AI loose and let everybody say, wait a minute, I got to try it. And suddenly people, whether tech people or your friends and neighbors, your family, have you heard about this thing called ChatGPT? So I agree with Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, when he said this was the moment that AI became the iPhone moment, right? The iPhone moment for AI was exactly that. And this has changed everything. So I think it's urgent, and we're tech companies, we're software companies. We feel like we need to lead. So we embark.
So taking a look here, this is absolutely incredible. You look at the speed of how quickly things are being adopted. This is not. This isn't showing iPhone, for instance, or the previous tectonic shift that he talked about. But ChatGPT sprints to 1 million users. He's saying 5, and so I don't know. 5 days. Maybe it did hit 5 million users in that same time frame. I don't know. Anyhow, it's just 5 days. 5 days. So the speed of this thing, the urgency of this thing, I think there are, there are industries that need to transform now. It is super urgent. Not every single business is going to be impacted by this, but there will be a lot. Most will. I can't even imagine anything that won't be. Honestly, it's just that it won't be as detrimental by not adopting it. So that's one of the things that you look at when we're talking about things like this conversational voice AI with Air, and adopting that, and getting that spread across various call center and contact centers, and different applications where you've got an internal salesperson, I think that's they call them internal salesperson, and external salespeople. Just a variety of different applications. These things are going to go very, very fast, and it's not going to be this fast because it's going to take time for people to, change the way that they think and look at these technologies. But it's going to be super, super fast and super, super critical. And especially when you look at what you can do with this, and we'll kind of go through the rest of his talk a little later, but it is amazing the outcome that he had with his transformation, and it's good that we'll study the transformation a little bit of what he did. So anyway, that's what I wanted to leave you with today. Thanks.